Hi folks, hope you're well. So, this one. Okay, someone asked a question about, are you hearing from God or from your own understanding? From the inner you sort of thing. Okay. Well, I answered those. But what I will say now in this one is, I will give a little bit of a backing of that, or background of that sort of thing. In order to be able to hear God, you have to get to a point where you can be led according to your spirit rather than your soul. That's one of the first things you need, is because God will speak to your spirit, he will not speak to your soul. He will speak to your spirit, because your spirit is what connects you to God, because spirit talks to spirit. And so therefore, God will speak to your spirit, but you need to be able to be led by your spirit and to be able to know, to listen to your spirit sort of thing. So therefore, to know when God, as I said, the reality is, I said basically, when you hear something of God, your spirit will leap. But if you have been led absolutely and totally by the soul, you won't really feel much. When your spirit leaps, you will feel a little murmur, but that's about it. If you are someone who is led according to the spirit, then when you hear something of God, you really do feel it. It's completely different. Because when you're led by the soul, it's like your spirit is basically surrounded by all this stuff that muffles any reaction from the spirit whatsoever. And so therefore you barely notice it. But when you are being led by the spirit, by your own spirit, and rather than your own soul, you get this, when you see something beautiful, when you see something amazing, when there's something that's just wow. A mixture of wow and a mixture of, when you feel love. Say if you see a newborn baby, that is your newborn baby. You get a mixture of that and the wow. And that's your spirit reacting to something that is of God. But to get all of that, or just to get that, really it's not all of that, is that you have to give everything to God. As I said, most people in church have not given their life to God at all. They say they have, but they haven't. They've taken this back and that back and this back and that back. They've not given everything to God. Again, giving everything to God, it's a decision. That's all it is, a decision. And you've got to keep giving. The same as giving going forward, and going forward was a decision. Giving your life to God fully is a decision. But you can't make the decision until you understand what fully means. And when you give your life to God fully, when you come to understand what fully actually means, well, as I say, basically it's a case where God does with people what he did with Paul, or Saul. What he did with Saul. Saul was on the road to Damascus to find a bunch of Christians that can be stoned. That was the point. And he faced a life-changing event. He was broken. When he said what he said to the Lord once his sight was taken, what the word doesn't say is how humbled Paul was. Well, Saul. How humble Saul was. Because Saul would have been quite a self-righteous pain in the arse. he was one of the top persecutors of Christians. And he would have been quite proud of what he does. And he would have been quite strong in his understandings and his beliefs, and believing that persecuting these people that call themselves Christians is exactly what God would want. Now, God has taken away his sight and is going to use a Christian to help him to receive his sight back. Yeah. So Paul, as his name got changed to Paul, suddenly has this understanding that the ones that he was persecuting were the ones who had given their life to God. And we're doing exactly what God wanted. We're doing things in exactly how God wanted things to be done. And he was persecuting these people of God. He had to come to that point where he was going to let go of everything he believed before. And even let go of everything he did and all the guilt that he felt that came with it. Well, to be a son, you've got to do the same. Most people will have to do exactly that. Will have to go through a Saul to Paul moment. Let's say, with Saul, it didn't take long to do it, really. It was only a short while that he was without sight. Of course, he then spent time with Ananias. Was it Ananias his name? Yeah. Something similar to that. And learning. He had to learn. Yeah. As I say, he had to come to that point of understanding that all those things he did, he believed he was serving God. And guess what, folks? He was actually serving God. God wanted him to do exactly what he was doing. He was always on the right path. But that would have taken Paul a long time to come to the understanding that he was always on the right path. But he was. All the persecuting of people, he was always on the right path. But, obviously, and you'll understand that yourself, that even though so many years you were really speaking against the will of God, and you were really speaking against what Yeshua was teaching and what he was saying, you were doing exactly what you were supposed to be doing at that time. Well, supposed to be. Maybe that's not quite the words that should be used. You were doing exactly what you were able to do at that time based upon where you were and the tools you had available to you. So again, it's not really supposed to be. It does look like it's supposed to be, but it's not really. It is, you couldn't have done any better than what you did where you were. Problem is, everyone comes to a point where they can do better and they have to choose. But as to hearing, yes, you have to be led by the Spirit. But to be led by the Spirit, you have to give up the soul. All that comes with the soul, all that comes with serving the soul, you have to give all of that up. All the feelings, all of the me. You have to give that all up. And that's the problem with people. Most people can't do that. They just can't do that. That's a big thing to give up. Because for most people, their soul is in charge. And so they have to rebuke that. And they have to turn their back on that. And that is not an easy thing to do in any way, shape or form. Paul, to a certain degree, was soul-led. He had understanding, and he was, he had a lot of pride, and he quite enjoyed his work because people looked to him, and they rewarded him, they applauded him. All of that is incredibly soul-fulfilling. Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah. That journey is possible for every single person. There is nobody on earth that couldn't go from where they are to a position of sonship. A position of being led by the Spirit and to be able to hear God. Or, say, hear again. Because to a certain degree you do. Because to a certain degree words are given. But again, it's a different sort of hear. It's still hearing, but it's a different sort of hear. So, there you go. We'll leave it to it. You take care. God bless. Bye-bye.